Okay, hey everyone. So we're gonna start with this little tutorial walkthrough, just going through some of the week 3 exercises, just because it's a lot of new stuff. There's lots of text directions, so I thought just maybe posting a video of kind of like the workflow and actually seeing things get done, kind of like what you would see in like a Udemy or YouTube tutorial would be helpful. So I'm just going to be going through the exercises. I'm not going to be really talking a lot about the content because there's already videos here and lessons on the actual content. This is more just the how and not the why. So make sure that you are also going through these videos, reading the directions as you kind of follow me along on some of these exercises. So we're going to start off with Python packages and virtual environments. So yeah, make sure you watch this video, go through this lesson. It's all really, this is everything in this week is very important stuff. You don't want to miss anything. So make sure you do that. We're going to get started with the exercises though. So start out, we kind of need to set up our virtual environment. Just going to exit out of VS Code. So we're going to go set up Visual Studio Code, but we're going to be setting it up inside of our Flask container. And I'm probably not familiar with Flask right now, but it's something, Flask is something that we're going to be using a lot during this week to do REST API and backend programming. So let's just go through the directions and we'll kind of learn as we go. So first off, we need to make sure that all of our Docker containers are up and running. So I'm going to open Docker Desktop. Look like it's actually already up. I don't have any of my containers because I'm just starting with a really super fresh setup. But you should see all your Docker containers here. I'm just going to get them up and running. You don't need to do this if you already see it here, but I'm just going to do Docker compose up -d. Should already, oh, I'm not in the correct folder. So this is kind of a raw take. Might make a few mistakes, but that's all right. So we're going to open up git bash inside my to_SQL folder. Then just go build our Docker containers. These should already be built for you, but just want to make sure I start out fresh so you guys can follow along. So should just take a few more moments to get set up. And we can see everything is green right here. I'm sure you already know, you can stop these containers. And then you can press that play button to run them again. You don't have to do any commands. It's all visual, really nice. So all my Docker containers are stopped right now. So you just want to make sure these are all running. And press play, check them off. Green means we're good to go. All right, so now we got to set up a remote development environment inside Visual Studio Code. So to do this, we have to actually install I'd say a first-party extension from Microsoft. So it's pretty easy. We're just going to open up Visual Studio Code right here. I got a fresh install right here. Everything is pretty new. So we're going to go open up our extensions tab right here. So I'm going to click extensions. Looks like I already have a few extensions already installed, but I need to go install, what was the name of it again? Dev Containers by Microsoft. So just type in dev and then press enter. You should just see it. It's the first one that pops up. So dev containers, we're going to go click install, and it's installing, and you'll know it's done installing when you see this new icon right here. It's called Remote Explorer if you hover over it. So I'm going to go click Remote Explorer right here. You should have something pretty similar right here. Mine's going to look a little bit different just because I've already set this up before, but you should see your Flask container, which you'll be using a lot this week. That's an understatement. Also going to be using, or we also have PG admin container and our Postgres PG container that, we've already used both of these. We're going to be focusing on this container this week. So let's continue with these directions. So make sure to read all this. So we want to be developing inside of the Flask container, inside of that Docker container. Normally with VS Code, we open up files that are on our computer. We run them on our own computer, but we need to be developing inside of this container. You'll see why during this week. But to do that, we just need to attach it to VS Code. So make sure you have this Remote Explorer right here. I'm going to go click it, and then I'm going to go find my Flask container and then click this little arrow right here, and it's going to attach it to my current window. And you can see it's opening up right now. It's doing a bunch of things, and should open in a second. So what this is doing, we are opening up basically this container inside Visual Studio Code. So now we can code inside this container. We can create files, code in Python, or really whatever we want to do inside of this container. We have Visual Studio Code, which is great. It's a lot better than having to deal with just a command line. We actually have a development environment right here. So let's see what else we need to do. Looks like everything here is open. So I can even click like this File Explorer right here, and it says, connected to remote. There's no folders in my computer. So let's see what the next step that we have to do. Okay, so we need to go run a terminal. We want to have a terminal up and running inside this Docker container. So opening up a terminal here, it's the same as if you're in your local, desktop or laptop computer. So for my setup, I can just go to this terminal right here, click terminal, new terminal, and look at that. Now I have a terminal. I can do pwd print working directory. I can see what folder I'm in. I can do ls. Nothing in there, but I can see all the files in there if there were files in there. So let's go to the next parts of the direction. So we need to open up our terminal. I think we kind of did these in reverse, but that's fine. We want to open up a folder inside this container. We want to open up the app folder. That's the folder that we're going to be working in this week. Some setups you might have like a home folder or like maybe another folder that you develop inside of, but for this one we're just using the app folder. So we're going to go open that, and opening a folder, it's really simple. I can press the big blue button, but normally you just go to File and Open Folder just like you would do. And I'm going to go backspace a little bit, and I can either type in app or just click it right there. That's the folder I want to open, the app folder. Click OK. Wait a couple of moments. And we are now inside of the app folder. Inside, looks like we have one file right here that I was working on before. But as you can see, pwd, we are in the app folder, and then ls. We should be able to see a few files. A data file, we don't really need that, but we should see this Flask file and a requirements.txt file that we're going to be using. So let's continue on. So yeah, we opened up the terminal. We opened up our app folder. And that should be it for this exercise. So let's move on to the next one right here. Okay, so now we need to go create and activate a virtual environment. Again, should already be a little bit familiar with this just from the other exercises and the video. So not really going to explain it. We're just going to go actually go and implement this. So let's go follow these commands. So first thing we need to do is create the virtual environment. So creating it, I'm just going to type Python. So we create it using Python. So just type out Python -m, since we need to use a module of Python. Module we're going to use is venv. And then we need to give a name to our virtual environment. You can name this whatever you want. Normally, I just name it venv. That's what it has in the directions. So I have this command right here. You can also copy and paste it, but type it out, press enter. It's going to take a moment. And again, a virtual environment is pretty much just another separate container for Python packages. Really important thing in Python development to do. Let's say standard even. So we're going to wait for this to go create. Luckily, we only need to do this one time. And you can see we have this folder right here. This is all our files for the virtual environment. So you can see it's actively creating it. And we're just going to keep waiting. But let's look at the next steps right here. So we create the virtual environment. Again, make sure to read all of this stuff right here. It's all important. And then we got to go actually activate or turn on that virtual environment. So we created it, only had to do that once. But, whenever we are working on anything here for this week, we want to turn on that virtual environment so we have access to all those Python packages that we're going to be using and installing. So this should be done. It's not done. I swear I have a pretty fast computer. I don't know why it's taking so long. Usually it does take a few moments, but I'm sure you can go ahead and skip through. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it take a minute or two. Okay, so you just have to be patient sometimes. So it looks like it finished installing. Again, there's not going to be any like output here, but the output is just this file that says venv or whatever you happen to name your virtual environment. So now we got to go activate it. So I'm going to copy and paste this, and we want to make sure we're running this command inside the app directory. So if I were to like go up a directory, cd ... going up a directory, and I run this command, I need to give it the path to actually activate it. So we're going to just cd back to app. You don't have to follow this, but I want to make sure we're running it in the correct directory. And press enter, and you know that you're good when you can see this venv right here. That means it's activated. So we created our venv, virtual environment. We activated it, but there's no packages inside our virtual environment. So now we have to go actually install some of these packages. So we're going to be installing the packages using pip. I highly recommend reading more about it. Pip is, I'd say it's a standard integral part of Python development. It's kind of like, what do you use for JavaScript? You can tell I'm not a front-end developer. npm is basically npm, but for Python. That's what pip is. So we can install packages one by one. So and if you're not familiar with packages, they're pretty much like other pieces of software. So we can go write a package that generates random pieces of data. We need that functionality for this week, but people have already done that before and solved that problem. We're not going to go reinvent the wheel. Luckily, there's a project called Faker. You can look it up on PyPy, which is where all the packages are for Python. So if we want to go install it, we just say pip install Faker. And then it's going to go find and download and install that package. For some reason, it's being really slow today, but it's going to go install that. But the thing is, we can install packages one by one. There's not many packages we need for this week, but we have something called a requirements.txt file. So yeah, you can install. These are all the packages that we need. It's just a list of them. We can go one by one and say pip install Alembic, pip install Faker, pip install Flask. And it's not very good because what if you need to share your packages with someone else, or you go to a new computer, you need to reinstall everything. There's room for human error, so pretty standard thing. And I'd say most languages is you have some text file. You can call it whatever you want. It's standard to just call it requirements.txt. List out all your packages, and then you can just install all the packages using pip based off of this requirements.txt file. So you can see it's installing. Cool thing, installs that package, and it installs any other packages that Faker needs to run. So Faker needs, I guess, these three packages right here. 6 Python date util, and then Faker, I guess. So it finds all the packages that your packages need to run, manages all of them, make sure there's no conflicts or anything. So yeah, right now it's just installing. We gotta wait. So this is good. You're watching the YouTube video. You can skip ahead. Yeah, I'd say it's probably like the screen recording software I'm using. I'm probably not using the best setup ever. I'm just using a website on Google Chrome, but it's gonna go. You just gotta be patient sometimes. There we go. It's all done. So we're going to install the rest of the packages using that requirements.txt file. So basically what this command is doing, you're saying pip install and then -r requirements.txt. So you're saying my requirements are this requirements.txt file that we already have for you. So I'm going to go press enter, and it's going to go install each one of these packages. And you're probably going to need to skip ahead a minute or so because that last one took a while. But we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so I think like also one of the main reasons why sometimes pip can take a while is because downloading all the stuff doesn't take that long if you have a decent internet connection. I'm right next to my router, but we have these 7 packages, and these 7 packages probably need like, I don't know, but between all of them, probably 20 or 30 packages. That might be a little bit too much to run. So it's kind of like making sure all the versions of the packages are compatible with each other, um, and that they depend on each other correctly. So it's doing a lot of work behind the background. This would be a total pain in the neck to have to do manually. So we're lucky we had pip. Luckily, we only need to install these packages once per project. So whenever you're set, you take a break or something, you come back tomorrow. You don't need to go install everything all again. So it's all good. Okay, good. Looks like it is all good to go. Sometimes it tells you a lot of times that you need to go update pip. You can. I've never had an issue that I've solved by updating pip. I've never ran into an issue by not upgrading it, so you can just safely ignore that. You can update it if it makes you feel better, but definitely don't need to do it. So now we just kind of want to do a little sanity check. This is just kind of practice with pip, but if we do pip list, we run this command, we can see all the packages that are installed. So I do pip list, and it's going to show me all the packages. For some reason, my computer is so slow today. But you do pip list, you can see everything right here. I don't think we need to wait for it to run. It's going to look like this. The version numbers might be a little bit different because versions do change. But yeah, we can see here are all our packages. So it should be pretty similar to this. And then we can see different packages that we have installed. Like we want to, we can see what Alembic is. Alembic, you're going to use that for one of the exercises. That's a very important package for Python development. You run pip show Alembic, and it'll tell you all about it, the author, and then the author email if you want to send them a compliment or complain or whatever. You can do pip show Flask. We're going to be using Flask a lot this week. So pip show Flask, and it's going to tell you everything about that specific package. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this week. Again, you can type in deactivate to turn off your virtual environment. If you exit out of VS Code or exit out of the terminal, it's going to exit it for you. But if you wanted for some reason to deactivate it, you could press deactivate. And if you wanted to go turn it on again, again, you use this command source venv/bin/activate. But yeah, that should be it. There's one extra optional exercise for turning off Pylint if you installed that from the previous course. I don't have it installed. I don't really use linters when coding. I'm pretty happy just with whatever is inside my IDE. But you can disable this if there's a lot of annoying squiggly lines. It doesn't do a really good job with some of the Python packages that we're using, even though they're extremely popular and well known. But yeah, that's it for this set of exercises. Hopefully this was helpful, and good luck with the next exercises.